Imagine for a moment those unseen forces. They're working all the time, controlling the air around you, the temperature, how fresh it feels, that quiet hum, comfort, basically. But what if those systems, the ones meant to keep you comfortable, healthy even, were actually, well, hitting you with hidden costs, silently, invisibly, just sort of draining your wallet? Today, we're taking a deep dive into heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC systems. Yeah, our mission here is to unpack quite a stack of sources, actually. We've got stuff from the EPA, various efficiency guides, and we want to reveal why HVAC efficiency. It's not just about feeling good. It's really tied to your finances, the actual quality of the air you're breathing inside, and maybe even your property value.
That's absolutely right. And it's funny how we take them for granted, these HVAC systems, especially in, say, big places like schools or large office buildings. But they are, honestly, among the very largest energy consumers in these buildings. So thinking about their design, their maintenance, how they're operated is just critically important. For well-being, yes, but also definitely for the bottom line.
Okay, so let's start right there, at the core. What exactly do HVAC systems do for us? What are their primary jobs?
Well, fundamentally, there are two main things. First, maintaining good indoor air quality, IAQ we often call it. That involves getting enough fresh air in, ventilation, and filtering the air that's circulating. And second, it's about providing thermal comfort, keeping the temperature and humidity in a comfortable range.
Right, comfort and clean air. Makes sense.
And that's exactly why efficiency becomes such a big deal. Like you said, these systems use a lot of energy. So if they're inefficient, they use even more. Which kind of leads to the big question, doesn't it? What are the real costs when these systems aren't up to snuff? It's definitely not just what you see on the bill.
Exactly. Because, everyone sees the energy bill. Maybe it's higher than you expect. But I want you, our listeners, to think about the broader picture. These hidden costs, they go way beyond just that monthly payment. Is there one particular hidden cost that you find surprises people the most, or maybe one that's toughest to get people to really acknowledge?
That's a good question. Often, I think it's the sheer accumulation of these costs that catches people off guard. It's not just one thing, but let's break them down. First, the obvious one, the financial drain. Higher energy bills, sure, but also increased running costs in general, just, money leaking out. Second, you feel it directly. Decreased comfort, maybe weird temperature swings, and compromised air quality. The air just feels off, stagnant, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Uncomfortable and maybe unhealthy.
Exactly. Third, think about the system itself. Inefficient systems, they just have to work harder, right? So that causes accelerated wear and tear, things break down sooner, more often, and those repairs, they can get expensive, fast.
Nobody wants surprise repair bills.
No kidding. Fourth, the health side. Poor air quality isn't just unpleasant. It can actually contribute to health problems. We're talking allergies flaring up, asthma issues, even just general fatigue or feeling unwell. And finally, something people often don't consider until they sell, property value. An old, inefficient HVAC system. That can definitely lower a home's or building's value. Buyers know they'll face higher energy costs and probably replacement costs soon.
Okay, yeah, those hidden costs really paint a picture. They add up significantly. So, all right, let's unpack this. If the impact is that big, how do we optimize these things right from the start? Where do we begin with, smart design, choosing the right equipment to try and avoid all these problems later?
Well, the foundation is really about following established standards. Think of them like blueprints for good buildings. There are industry standards, like HRA standards that cover ventilation, thermal comfort. They're kind of the gold standard, right?
HRA, right. I've heard of those.
Yeah. And beyond those, you've got state and local building codes. These are rules that specify minimum energy efficiency levels, insulation requirements, how systems need to be sized. They're basically there to protect occupants and ensure a certain baseline of performance. You have to start there.
That really emphasizes starting off on the right foot. Okay, so thinking about design, especially for bigger buildings, schools I mentioned, what about the choice between one big central system versus having individual units in every single room? Is one clearly better?
That's a really common question, and it's interesting. While those individual units, unit ventilators or heat pumps in each room might seem simple, central HVAC systems, the big air handling units or AHUs that serve multiple rooms, they actually tend to have some pretty significant advantages.
Like what?
Well, for starters, central AHUs are usually much quieter. Think about a classroom Less background noise means fewer distractions, and people are more likely to just let it run continuously.
Right? Quiet is good.
Definitely. They also tend to result in less drafty spaces because the air is often supplied through multiple points, diffusing better. And they're generally better at controlling humidity and managing the condensation, the water that drips off the cooling coils. That's huge for preventing mold.
Mold again.
Right. Always mold. Plus, maintenance can be easier. Fewer, larger units to deal with, often in easier to access mechanical rooms. And importantly, they can usually accommodate much better air filters, higher efficiency filters with more surface area.
Why is more surface area important for filters?
Good question. More surface area means the air can pass through more easily so the fan doesn't have to work as hard. That saves energy. And it cleans the air better. Also, these central units often use heavier duty components, so they tend to last longer. And there's less chance someone will accidentally block or reduce the outdoor air supply, which can happen with individual units.
Okay, so choosing a central AHU seems like a strong starting point for larger spaces. But beyond just picking central, are there specific features of that AHU we should really focus on? You said the devil's in the details.
Oh, absolutely. The details matter immensely here. Okay, first one. Drain pans. Insist on double-sloped and non-corroding drain pans.
Double-sloped, why?
So all the water drains out completely. Even a tiny bit of standing water in that pan under the cooling coil is a perfect breeding ground for mold and bacteria. Double sloping ensures it all goes down the drain. Non-corroding means it won't rust and fail. It seems small, but it's critical for air quality.
Got it. No puddles for mold. What else?
Easy access doors and double wall cabinets with good gaskets. This isn't just for the maintenance crew's convenience. It means better insulation for the unit itself, and it seals tightly against air leaks. Leaks waste energy big time.
Okay, better sealing, less energy waste.
Exactly. Then filter slots. Specify minimum 2-inch thick filter slots, maybe even deeper, and look for designs with extended surface area filter banks. This lets you use those better, higher efficiency filters we talked about. It also means filters last longer between changes, and again, lower fan energy costs because of reduced air resistance.
So deeper slots for better filters.
Precisely. And add an air filter monitor. It's usually just a differential pressure gauge. Think of it like the oil change light in your car. It tells you when the filter is actually dirty enough to need changing based on how hard the fan is working to push air through it.
So you're not changing them too early, wasting money, or too late, hurting performance and air quality.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out. And finally, little detail but important for longevity. Make sure the dampers, the things that control airflow and their linkages, are made of corrosion-resistant materials. You don't want them rusting shut or falling apart.
Wow, that's a fantastic checklist for the core unit. Okay, but the system needs to pull in outside air, right? Fresh air. Are there smart ways to handle that? Because bringing in outside air means you have to heat it or cool it, which uses energy.
Yes, and this is where technology like energy recovery ventilation or ERV comes in. This is really fascinating stuff. What ERV does essentially is it transfers heat and sometimes moisture between the incoming fresh air and the outgoing stale air. So it can make bringing in, say, 15 cubic feet per minute CFM of outdoor air per person, which is great for air quality, have the energy impact of bringing in only like 5 centimeters.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, you get the air quality benefit of the higher ventilation rate, but without the massive energy penalty for heating or cooling all that fresh air. It really helps tackle that classic trade-off between fresh air and energy cost, and even helps manage moisture. It's a huge win.
That does sound like a game changer. Okay, so we have smart ways to bring in the air, but where you actually get that outdoor air from, that location must be critical too. Any pitfalls there?
Oh, absolutely critical, yes. Think about it. The whole point is to bring in fresh outdoor air. You don't want to suck in polluted air right from the start. So the intake point needs to be positioned carefully, generally at least 8 inches above any flat surface like a roof or the ground, to avoid sucking in leaves, snow, debris.
Okay, keep it elevated.
Right. And crucially, keep it away from potential contaminant sources. The rule of thumb is often at least 25 feet away.
25 feet from what, exactly?
Things like plumbing vents, exhaust outlets from the building itself, kitchen exhausts, loading docks where trucks idle, trash collection areas, anywhere contaminants might concentrate.
Makes sense. Don't suck in exhaust fumes or garbage smells.
Exactly. Oh, and a small but important point, make sure the intake grill is properly screened. Bird-proof, rodent-proof. You'd be surprised what tries to make a home in ductwork.
Good point. No unexpected critters in the HVAC. Okay, so we know where to place the intake. What about controlling the amount, the quantity of outdoor air, especially in places where the number of people changes a lot?
Right. Quantity control is vital too. For some spaces like classrooms, there's often a minimum requirement, maybe 15 centimeters of outside air per person. But for spaces where occupancy varies wildly, think gyms, auditoriums, maybe conference rooms, running that full amount of outdoor air when the room is empty is just a huge waste of energy.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where demand-controlled ventilation, or DCV, comes in. These systems often use sensors, commonly carbon dioxide, CO2 sensors. CO2 levels correlate pretty well with the number of people in a space, so the DCV system monitors the CO2 and adjusts the amount of outdoor air accordingly.
That's clever. So more people, more CO2, more fresh air gets brought in.
Precisely. Fewer people, less CO2. The system ramps down the outdoor air, saving energy. It's like the ventilation system is taking attendance and adjusting on the fly.
Very smart. Okay, moving inside the system again, air filtration. We touched on it, wanting good filters.
Yeah.
What specifics should we look for there?
Yeah, filtration is key for actual air quality. You want to specify filters with a decent minimum efficiency rating value, or MRV. Generally, aiming for MERV 8 to MERV 13 is a good range for most applications like schools or offices.
Higher MERV means it catches more stuff.
Exactly. Higher MERV filters capture smaller particles, dust mites, pollen, mold spores, even some bacteria. Think of it like using a finer sieve. And remember what I said about surface area. Designing the filter bank to hold filters with more surface area is really beneficial. It lowers the pressure, drop the resistance to airflow. That saves fan energy because the fan doesn't have to push as hard. It's an efficiency twofer. Cleaner air, less energy use.
Got it. Higher MERV, more surface area. And underpinning all of this, you mentioned mold several times. Moisture and humidity control sounds absolutely critical.
It is paramount, seriously. Uncontrolled moisture inside a building is just asking for trouble. It can lead to structural damage over time, rot, corrosion, but the immediate concern is often mold growth. So preventing moisture from getting in and effectively removing moisture generated inside, like from breathing, cooking, that has to be a priority in the HVAC design and operation.
Which leads us right to the ductwork itself, the pathways for the air. I read this quote: "Extraordinary attention to preventing moisture contamination of the ductwork should be the primary strategy for preventing mold growth." That sounds really strong.
It is strong, and it's true. The ductwork can be a hidden highway for problems if it's not handled right. All the ducts need to be properly fabricated, installed correctly, and crucially, sealed tightly.
Sealed, like at all the joints.
Everywhere. Every joint, every connection. Think of leaky ducts like leaky pipes. You're losing the air you just paid to heat or cool into wall cavities, ceilings, wherever. It's a massive energy waste. Some estimates put leakage losses at 20–30% in typical systems.
Wow, that much.
Easily. And it's not just energy loss. Leaky return ducts can suck in dirty, unconditioned air from attics or crawl spaces, bringing dust, insulation fibers, or even mold spores into your airstream. Leaky supply ducts can push conditioned air out, but can also change pressure balances in the building, potentially drawing in contaminants elsewhere. Sealing ducts is absolutely fundamental.
Okay, seal the ducts, seal them well. Got it. Now, beyond the main airflow, are there other specific areas, maybe ones we don't always think about, that need their own dedicated exhaust systems?
Yes, definitely. We all know about exhausts for kitchens and labs, right? Obvious sources of fumes or moisture. But think about other spots like an off-gas chemicals or produce odors. Janitor closets, for example, with all the cleaning supplies.
Good one.
Copy rooms or workrooms with printers and copiers running. Arts and crafts prep areas. These places can generate airborne contaminants. It's good practice to give them their own dedicated exhaust ventilation. And importantly, design it so these rooms are kept under negative pressure compared to the areas around them.
Negative pressure, what does that mean?
It just means you're pulling slightly more air out of the room than is being supplied to it. This ensures that air flows into that room from adjacent spaces, like hallways when a door is opened, rather than air flowing out. It helps contain any potential contaminants within that specific room and sends them straight outside via the exhaust.
Okay, containment. Makes perfect sense. So we've covered a ton on design and specific components, but optimizing doesn't stop once it's installed, right? There's got to be an ongoing part to this?
Oh, absolutely. You can have the best design system in the world, but if you don't maintain it, its performance will degrade over time. Regular maintenance is not optional. It's vital.
Vital for what exactly? Keeping it running.
Keeping it running efficiently, keeping it running effectively for air quality, and making it last longer. Routine maintenance things like regular professional inspections, changing those filters we talked about, cleaning coils, checking refrigerant levels, inspecting belts and motors. It does several things. It catches small problems before they become big, expensive breakdowns. It keeps the system operating at peak efficiency, saving energy month after month. It ensures good comfort and air quality. And yes, it definitely extends the overall lifespan of the equipment. It's like preventative health care for your building's lungs.
Preventative healthcare. I like that analogy. Okay, so maintenance is key. What about upgrades? Beyond just fixing what's broken, is there value in strategically upgrading components or even the whole system?
Huge value, potentially, especially if you have an older system. Upgrading to a newer, more efficient HVAC system can directly translate into, well, significantly lower energy bills. And often improved comfort, too. And there are some really neat technologies now. Smart thermostats, for instance, that learn your schedule and preferences, optimizing temperatures automatically, or variable speed motors in fans and compressors that adjust their output precisely using much less energy than old single-speed units.
Right, the technology keeps improving.
It really does. And don't forget to look into incentives. There are often tax credits or utility rebates available for installing high-efficiency HVAC equipment. That can really help offset the upfront cost, making it a very smart financial move in the long run. It's an investment that usually pays back.
Good point about rebates. Okay, here's a question I bet a lot of listeners have. It comes up all the time. Duct cleaning. Do I need it? When should air ducts actually be cleaned? There seems to be a lot of debate, or maybe just aggressive marketing.
That's such a common question, and yeah, there's definitely some aggressive marketing out there. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has a pretty clear stance on this. They generally do not recommend routine air duct cleaning. It's not something that needs to be on your regular home maintenance checklist usually.
So never clean them.
Not never, but only if specific conditions warrant it. Think of it more as remediation for a known problem rather than preventative maintenance.
Okay, so what are the specific conditions? When should you consider it?
Well, number one, visible mold growth. If you can actually see mold inside the hard surfaces of your ducts or on other components of your HVAC system, you need to address the mold issue, and cleaning might be part of that remediation.
Okay, visible mold is a definite trigger.
Right. Second, infestation. If the ducts are infested with vermin rodents, insects, you obviously need to get them out and clean up the mess.
Ugh. Yes. Hope that doesn't happen.
Let's hope not. And third, excessive debris. If your ducts are so clogged with dust and debris that you can see particles actually being released into the home from your supply registers, or if you look inside and they seem substantially clogged, then cleaning might be needed.
So mold, pests, or literally clogged and spewing dust.
Pretty much. The key takeaway is that if you have a properly designed system, use good filters, and maintain it regularly, the need for duct cleaning should actually be pretty rare. It's often addressing symptoms of other problems like poor filtration or moisture issues.
That's really helpful clarification. Okay, so zooming out a bit, we've talked about design, maintenance, upgrades, even duct cleaning. How does all this focus on the HVAC system fit into like the bigger picture of energy efficiency for a whole building, whether it's a home or something larger?
Right, connecting the dots. When we talk about really significant energy savings in a building, we often get into the concept of a deep energy retrofit, or DER.
Deep energy retrofit. Okay, what is that exactly?
It's basically a comprehensive, whole building approach to renovation. The goal isn't just incremental improvement. It's aiming for a dramatic reduction in energy consumption. We're often talking 50% savings, sometimes even more. It involves looking at the building as a system and tackling multiple areas simultaneously in a coordinated way.
And I assume HVAC optimization is a big part of that DER puzzle.
Absolutely. It's a cornerstone, really. A DER isn't just about slapping solar panels on the roof. It integrates HVAC system upgrades, maybe right-sizing equipment, installing high-efficiency units, adding that ERV we discussed with other major improvements, things like adding significant amounts of insulation, installing high-performance windows, and really focusing on making the building envelope much more airtight.
So the HVAC improvements work together with better insulation and less air leakage.
Exactly. When the building itself loses less heat in the winter and gains less heat in the summer, the HVAC system doesn't have to work nearly as hard. You might even be able to install a smaller HVAC system after doing the other DER measures. It's this holistic approach, optimizing the shell and the systems, that leads to those really deep energy savings. HVAC is critical, but it's part of an integrated strategy.
It makes so much sense, looking at the whole picture.
Okay.
Okay, so wrapping things up here, it seems crystal clear whether you're dealing with a big facility like a school, a commercial space, or just your own house. Investing in efficient HVAC, it's not just about feeling comfortable or ticking a box. It really is a smart investment, isn't it? Significant upsides, financial, definitely health-related, environmental too. It all contributes to a better indoor environment.
Couldn't agree more. It boils down to thoughtful design right from the start, consistent, diligent maintenance over the years, and making smart, strategic upgrades when the time is right. These steps are absolutely critical for getting that optimal indoor air quality, keeping energy costs down, and making sure these really vital systems last as long as they should, especially, as we noted, in places like schools where the indoor environment directly impacts health, comfort, and even learning.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Consider not just the air you breathe indoors, but think about the energy you're using to make that air comfortable. What step, maybe small, maybe large, could you take? How could you make your own indoor environment not just a place of comfort, but maybe, just maybe, a model of efficiency and health?